All the characters in the story are over 18 years old. Hello everyone, I am John, a studio photographer. I videotape celebrations, from children's matinees to serious corporate events. Sometimes I help with outdoor advertising at the request of clients. My work style is quite free. I am not tied to a clear schedule, but there is enough work. I have been working for a reputation for a long time. Now the reputation is making itself felt. Money? Of course, I would like more. Because sometimes you have to invest more in the shooting process than you get. I may live in a private room, but in my parents' room. If it were possible to move out and rent a house, I would do it, but my needs are great. It's not enough for me to just have a corner. I want a studio apartment, and this, firstly, is expensive. Secondly, where can you find one? And our brother, photographers, artists, has a special reputation. So not everyone will agree to give four corners to people like us. I have no problems with alcohol. I somehow confidently crossed it. It doesn't pull anymore. So, I work in the studio. I live in my parents' apartment, but considering that both are retired and have been going to the country since the beginning of spring almost until the winter cold, consider that I have an entire apartment at my disposal. Well, not really. The fact is that my younger sister Olivia lives in her room. There is almost 8 years difference between us, and I, as an elder, sometimes call her small, but I do not put any ridicule or neglect into it. Small, because small, and that's it. I love her with brotherly feelings and warmth. Since childhood, it happened that when Olivia first appeared, my father said that my childhood was over, and I had to take care of my sister. Of course, my father joked about what kind of assistant I was at the age of 8, but I took his words seriously and tried to help in all the care of my sister, which she needed, or what I was asked for. Olivia is generally a pet, a moderately athletic woman, but an excellent beauty. Already in childhood, her godmother prophesied, she'll grow up and become a beauty. That's how it was. But for me, as an older brother, it wasn't the main thing. Despite the age difference, we have a deep spiritual closeness. No secrets, no secrets. Even during family conflicts, if the little one was wrong, I tried to justify her to her parents. Olivia didn't give us any trouble, but things do happen. Adolescence and all that. I graduated from school with gold, entered the university. Now I am a third-year student. How many times has her pretty face been put on display at school among the best students? I can't count. And she did not lag behind in her studies at the university. She was an activist. Olivia did not live with serious feelings in her 20s, but she arrived in a state of eternal spring love. And the search for yourself, of course. I went for plastic surgery, contrary to the instructions of my parents. I was on her side again, like, what's the big deal? Let her develop, physically too. She has the data. It's fashionable, it's modern, and the girlfriends from the course are there too. Mom didn't share my enthusiasm. It's better to think about studying. Olivia was very offended by this, especially since her father was also pushing her. I can imagine how insulting it was for her to listen to all this, but she didn't leave the studio. Not out of harm's way, but to defend your place. Well, 20 years old, some are already getting married. Finally, the parents threatened. She would solve her own problems. Perhaps I was the only one who supported Olivia at that moment, and she not only liked the classes, but they were definitely good for her. Olivia has become more plastic, flexible, graceful, self-confident even. I couldn't help but be pleased, because I didn't leave her at a time of pressure from my family. I remember she even invited me to classes so that I could film the material, and then showed my parents as proof that plastic surgery classes are exactly classes, not pastimes. Of course, I agreed, went, filmed the material. It was then played on local TV and advertising. And of course, I could confirm 100% that the girls come there to work hard. And not only young female students make up the client base, there were older women. The parents ignored it anyway. It was enough for them to see what the participants were wearing to make a verdict. In general, everyone remained of their own opinion. But when Olivia needed money for a new accessory, I understandingly gave her my savings, for which she was immensely grateful to me. And so a few days later she came to me with an offer. Could you arrange an exclusive photo shoot for me? Her question did not surprise me at all, and did not put me in a stupor. The girl clearly wanted to show off. She wanted to be no worse than her peers, or even better than them. All this is understandable. Why didn't you turn to your competitors? Well, first of all, you have to pay money for it. Secondly, I have a lot of experience myself. I've shot all sorts of different things. Come on, I shrugged. Well, what's wrong with her request? And who will help if not close relatives? Olivia was all fired up. I offered to take her to the studio, but she refused. At home, where everything was familiar, she was more free and relaxed, and the atmosphere at home was decent, quite photo-presentable. They stipulated that I would bring the equipment. Well, we will resolve the issues. That evening, I set up an impromptu version of the studio in Olivia's bedroom. Armed with a digital photo and setting up the camera, I gave Olivia the go-ahead. Was I expecting something special? No. It's part of the job for me. However, Olivia struck me from the moment she appeared. Having turned on some composition in the next room, which she had rehearsed in the studio more than once, she entered her maiden room as if she were practicing going to the platform. I just glanced at her outfit, which I was paying for, and realized that the investments had gone in the right direction. Olivia bought high-heeled shoes, but on a transparent base, and it seemed as if she was floating above the floor. The shoes were topped with high black lacing almost to the knee. This emphasized the slimness and length of the legs. But for all the feminine splendor and magic, I couldn't help but smile. Well, I did not perceive Olivia as an object of worship. Sister, native blood. How else to explain? Olivia smiled too, in a kind of embarrassed and childish way, ceasing to imitate the summoning movements she had been trained to do. Well, how is it? What is it? She asked. Naturally, she was wondering how I would rate her appearance. I gave a thumbs up after taking a few pictures. This cheered Olivia up, and she gracefully stuck out her right leg. I immediately guessed that it was in it that grateful customers put money. I took a few camera clicks, selecting the best angle. Along the way, I gave Olivia instructions. Come on, come on. Spin around. Don't be lazy. Be yourself. Undoubtedly, Olivia had rehearsed this number before, but now she felt a little embarrassed. It's one thing to impress the audience. It's another to perform in front of your family, even if they're your like-minded people. It took some time before Malaya gathered her courage and got into shape. I immediately photographed every change in her movements, and the movements of her legs were really fascinating. Of course, Olivia still had a lot to learn, and she improvised more than she automatically performed the elements of a prepared dance, but it turned out all the same well. I supported her by taking photos. Well, good. Lift your head a little higher. Into the camera. Look at the camera. We got carried away with the shooting process. Another composition was already playing, but Olivia found an approach to it. But she's good, I thought. I can't say that I felt any desire. Olivia may have been a product, but a product from her garden. I was much more turned on by the idea of how profitable Olivia would appear in my photos, how much the audience would be able to appreciate her. Meanwhile, suppressing embarrassment and modesty, Olivia sat on the headboard of the bed, as if on a perch, and gracefully turned over on it, turning her back to me. Great. Well done, Olivia. More. Everyone was happy with the photo shoot. The camera shutter clicked. What else are you going to show, my dear? I didn't lose my head at all, but while Olivia was in a state of euphoria, I wanted to spin her. Can I get a little closer? I tried to speak evenly so as not to betray tension and nervousness. Olivia gave me a tiny wink. I lowered myself to her, bringing the camera angle closer. I shouldn't have shown emotion, and in order not to let go of my hands, I gripped the camera tighter, and Olivia continued to improvise. I just ran around the bed, choosing the shooting angle for myself. What followed had a particularly powerful effect on me. I hoped that the lens managed to capture this moment no less effectively than it was displayed in my eyes. And the other frame was definitely supposed to be a highlight in her portfolio. Olivia seemed to realize that she was producing a special effect and smiled at the camera, as if to all her admirers. Come on, baby, make a splash. I teased. Brilliant. I clicked the shutter. My breathing wasn't even. How cool you are, I admitted in all seriousness, and these words did not belong to my brother, but sounded from the mouth of a man fascinated by a woman. But that's exactly what put an end to the heated relationship. Do you think it turned out really well? I was definitely hit on the head with a butt. My consciousness began to clear up. Well, of course you can, baby. I answered on the old brotherly feelings. Let's look at the photos together later. She answered with her eyes alone. I left the room, leaving her alone. The music was still playing in the hall, and I didn't stop it. I was overcome by mixed emotions, on the verge of some kind of madness and shame. What I saw disturbed my mind and made me restless. I waited a while so as not to arouse her suspicions, and then went to the toilet. God, my sister drove me crazy. Shame and scandal. Of course, Olivia didn't suspect anything, and after dinner I suggested that she choose the photos that best suited her taste. Strangely, we didn't even look at each other, and Olivia, looking through the photos, sometimes became covered with a touch of paint, and in her naive eyes it was read, God, is it really me? I do not know how Olivia further disposed of this material, but I myself archived the photos in the computer, limiting their review. Sometimes I review some of them. I have no right to ask my sister for another photo shoot, and I don't want her to ask the same, because I'm afraid to snap. Because in my mind, when I look at these photos, thoughts often arise about our closeness with her. But after a week, my wishes turned into reality. We made love, but only once, and of course, no one found out about it.